This video contains spoilers. You have been warned. Resident Evil 3 Remake is a good game, but what about as a remake? Hello everybody, my name is Cobra Regalo, and on this video we are going to review Resident Evil 3 Remake, and we are going to compare it with the original game. Sadly, Capcom haven't learned from the mistakes of RE2 Remake, so Resident Evil Remake turned out to be even worse than Resident Evil 2 Remake. But this time, the mistakes were more obvious than the Resident Evil 2 Remake, and because of that, not only some people realized that RE3 Remake is worse than the original, but it also made people realize that even RE2 Remake is weaker than the original game. Still, RE2 and 3 Remake have been praised too much for their own good. I will try to analyze every aspect of the game, or at least as much as I can. I will also use Resident Evil 1 Remake as a model. Yes, every remake should be made in the RE1 Remake style, where only improves, add, preserve, sell at a reasonable price, and doesn't have DLCs, or if it has DLCs they are all free, and not in the RE2 and 3 Remake style, which also cut, downgrade, change, overprice the game and sell DLCs. I also review Resident Evil Resistance since it is bundled with Resident Evil 3 Remake. Let's begin. First of all, let's talk about the positives. The graphics are mostly good. There are problems with the graphics just like in RE2 Remake, but we are going to discuss them later. The details are also great. For example, if you shoot a zombie and destroy its head, it really looks like that you destroy its head. They also included the Pale Heads enemies and the Nemesis Parasite zombie. The leakers from RE2 also appear, even if it wasn't necessary. It also includes new weapons like the grenades and the flash grenades, which also appear in RE2 Remake. Nathaniel Bard is a new character who is a scientist and kind of a douchebag. Not only that, but he doesn't even have enough build-up, since he dies very shortly after its introduction. Kendo also makes a cameo appearance from RE2 Remake, even if it wasn't necessary. Unfortunately, that's all I can say that it is good with RE3 Remake. If this game was made in the RE1 Remake style, then it would have been better than the original game, but it is made in the RE2 and 3 Remake style, so let's talk about its flaws. Let's begin with the biggest offender. RE3, the original, have one feature that gave him his identity: the life selection choices. During the playthrough you can make some decisions that change the encounters with the Nemesis, for example. The mandatory fights with Nemesis are still the same, but the non-mandatory ones takes place at different locations. You can even have 3 different endings depending on your choices. Not only that, but you can even have different cutscenes depending on which location you visit first. And the remake just cuts it all for no good reason. Because of that, now there is only one ending instead of 3, and the 2 cut endings shows that Barry is saving them. And because of that, the only ending we got was kind of a disappointment. At least the nuke explosion looks really cool. It also includes a post-credit scene with a person that takes the destroyed vaccine, which maybe is a teaser for RE4 Remake. The character epilogues, which have been 8, were cut, which is a shame because it offered a good conclusion for the original trilogy. Another element that has been cut is the enemy, item and puzzle randomization, which offered replayability to the game. It's true that the randomized system has been replaced with the Nightmare and Inferno modes, but it is such a downgrade compared to the randomized system, especially since all the enemies, especially the final boss fight, are so hard and unfair. They cut again the spiders and scarecrows. They also cut the sliding worms and brain suckers. They even cut the Gravedigger boss, which is bad because the original had only 2 bosses. It's true that the 2 Gravedigger boss fights have been replaced with one new Nemesis boss fight, but still they should have kept the Gravedigger boss since it offers unique boss fights. The Nemesis has been downgraded from a stalker that always follows you into an enemy that appears only in scripted events except at the beginning of the game. Also, I want to point out that the roles of Mr. X and Nemesis have been reversed. Mr. X, who appeared only in scripted events, now stalks the player, while the Nemesis, who was stalking the player, now appears only in scripted events. It's like RE2 Remake stole a feature from RE3 and put it into his game. When you defeat Nemesis, instead of dropping 7 item cases, it drops only 4 item cases, 2 of which improves the pistol, while the last 2 gives you weapon ammo, which I consider a downgrade. The revolver has been cut and replaced by a Magnum. The freezer rounds, blue herbs, ammo crafting, leveling up, and STI Eagle gun has been also cut. The ink ribbon has been completely cut from this game. You don't need the ink to save the game anymore. The clock tower, dead factory, park, cemetery, printing press, grill, 13 restaurant, city hall exterior, and the court have been cut, while the bar jack and Stagla gas station appear only as a cutscene instead. The uptown as a whole is changed to a set piece and cannot be backtracked to. It's true that they were replaced by the sewer and the next to lab, but this feels like they were copied from the sewer and lab from RE2 Remake, which is a shame. Most of the puzzles have been cut and some of them have been replaced with only 2 puzzles, which are way too easy to solve. Most of the customs have been cut and now there are free customs that you can now change. Speaking of customs, this game has DLCs. It even has pre-order DLCs, which you can buy them separately after launch. A remake shouldn't have DLCs unless they are free and available for everyone. Actually, any game shouldn't have DLCs. The pre-order DLCs have included 2 of the free customs, while the all-in-game rewards unlocks the 4th custom. There is also a soundtrack which you can listen to it. All the DLCs, including the soundtrack, should be free instead of paid DLC. And the game still charges you for $60, which is too much on its own. The characters are either downgraded or changed with 2 exceptions, Mikhail and IRL, which have been significantly improved. Nikolai has now become a person which his obsession with money is too exaggerated compared to the original version. Also, I want to point out that Nikolai now works for a secret organization that wants to destroy Umbrella, which may refer to the Albert Wesker organization, and I hope that in future games it will be confirmed that it is Wesker organization. Also, I hope that in future games also confirms that Nikolai is dead, because we don't actually know if he is alive or is killed in the end. Carlos has lost his Spanish accent for unknown reasons. Dairos has been changed from a father who lost his daughter into a jackass. Also, I want to point out that the picture from RE3 that has the character who lost his daughter has been taken by RE2 Remake and implemented it in Kendo. I don't understand why instead of improving his own ideas, RE2 Remake takes features from RE3. Also, just like Kendo and Nikolai, we don't actually know if Dario is alive or dead, and I hope that the future installments will confirm that he's dead. Brad Vickers has now very little screen time. Now he even doesn't die by being killed by Nemesis, but instead by being bitten by a zombie. At least we know that Vickers is the one who bit Marvin from RF2. Jill, just like Claire, is now a feminist vulgar girl, because nowadays we need women empowering that swears and put herself in crazy danger situations for no good reason, because women should be like that, crazy overpowered women, and despite all this they still need to be protected. As a side note, no, I don't think a character should be like that, at all. I can't understand why Capcom is making the characters like this. I said at the beginning of the video that there are problems with the graphics. Before I say it, I have to clarify something. A game that looks better than an older game doesn't necessarily mean that it has improved graphics. For example, Resident Evil 3 the original looks worse than the remake, but in 1999, when the original launched, those were the best graphics that it could have, while the remake doesn't look so great for a 2020 game because it uses some VNT effects that makes the game unnecessarily dark and ugly, and when you distance yourself from the enemies, there are going to be frame drops, something that in the original game never happened. So in a way, the graphics in the remake are weaker than the original. Other changes found in the remake are the fixed camera and tank control scheme, which has been replaced with the over-the-shoulder camera. The fixed camera tank controls should have remained, and instead they should have been improved. Fixed camera tank controls are still good for a horror game because it limits your movements and makes you more cautious about the environment. Also, RE4, despite having over-the-shoulder camera, keeps its tank controls, which make the game more horror. Now let's talk about RE Resistance. I want to clarify that this is not the multiplayer of RE Remake, but a separate game. This is because 1. Resident Evil 3 the original didn't have a multiplayer. 2. When you play the game on Steam, it shows that RE3 and Resistance are separate from each other, and 3. The sites like Wikipedia says that they are separate games. Resident Evil Resistance is about 4 patients who want to escape the laboratory where they are kept captive, while an evil mastermind will try to kill them. While the idea is good, its execution is bad because there are lots of kinds of imbalances. Also, there are problems when you try to keep the internet connection. It even has microtransactions. Those microtransactions are boosters that help you easily unlock new stuff. It also has 2 DLCs that unlock new characters. I really hope that one day RE Resistance is going to be separated from RE3 Remake, and both Resistance and its DLCs are going to be free, since this game already wins money by microtransaction. In conclusion, RE3 the original is 9 out of 10. If RE3 Remake was instead just some other game, then this game would have been 8 out of 10. Still weaker than the original, but a good game. But this is a remake and a weaker one in fact, so I'm going to give RE3 Remake a 5 out of 10, a game that is very weak. Resident Evil Resistance is 4 out of 10. It's good that Resident Evil 3 Remake and Resistance are 2 separate games, otherwise RE3 Remake would have been 4.5 out of 10. Honestly, I was surprised that the producer is Masakika Kawata, the creator of Resident Evil 7. I really was expecting from him to make a better remake than RE2 Remake, maybe a remake just as good as RE1 Remake, but instead he made a remake that is weaker than the first 2 remakes. But I don't think most of the blame is his. I do have a feeling that Hirobayashi, the creator of RE2 Remake, and especially Capcom, has something to do which makes Resident Evil 3 Remake weaker than the original. Also, I want to point out that RE2 and 3 the originals had 2 years and respectively 1 year of development, while RE2 and 3 Remake had 4 years, respectively 3 years of development, a lot more time than the original games, and they still turned out weaker than the original games. They even have now advanced technology that it could have improved the remakes, but turned weaker than the originals. So I have a message for Capcom. Make RE2 and 3 Remake Director's Cut Edition, and RE4 Remake in the RE1 Remake style, because it is the best remake style, and for those who already have RE2 and 3 Remake, they should have the Director's Cut editions for free. Before I close the video, I want to tell you that I have some petitions in the description below, which I hope you sign them. I hope you like this video, and I hope we see next time. Goodbye, comrades.